Hi, I'm Barbara and I'm a time tunneler, and I am at the top of the Wallace Monument. The Wallace Monument has been built to honour the hero William Wallace, who's famous for defeating the English at the Battle of Stirling Bridge during the Wars of Scottish Independence. William Wallace is a famous hero celebrated in a poem by a guy called Blind Harry, who wrote a long poem about his exploits and what a hero he was. And this was written more than 100 years after Wallace's death, so the two could never have met. But Wallace was famous, and he was made even more famous by a famous Hollywood movie called Braveheart. But there's a tiny bit more to that story than I had previously thought. Here's a picture of my dog, Merry. We quite often take him on long dog walks, and one of the ones that we hadn't tried out was a route up a little hill. It's Ormond Hill on the Black Isle. On this hill stood the castle of Andrew de Moray, a nobleman from the Highlands of Scotland, and you can see his coat of arms with the stars on a blue background right in this picture on the shield. There is a flagpole there with a Scottish flag commemorating the nobleman. So why was he so important, I wanted to know? Well, Andrew de Moray had his castle at Ormond Hill, and he rallied his troops to join William Wallace before fighting with him at the Battle of Stirling Bridge. But the two didn't just fight alongside each other, they co-commanded the battle. Andrew de Moray was the boss of that battle just as much as William Wallace was, and after their victory both of them became joint guardians of Scotland. Hey, but wait, where is the Andrew de Moray National Monument? Why can't we remember him in the same way that we remember William Wallace? Surely he does deserve to be remembered. The battle was fought with a real stroke of genius. Wallace, de Moray and their forces were camped out on the Abbey Craig, a hill overlooking the Stirling Plain and looking across to the rock on which Stirling Castle is built. This is what it looked like on the day that I visited. Right guys, and here I am standing on the Abbey Craig, which is the hill that William Wallace and Andrew de Moray would have stood on and planned their assault. Down below you see the winding river which kind of crosses to Stirling Castle over there, which is where the English were encamped, and they needed to make their way across the river. They did so at the bridge was roughly here, and they got themselves trapped in one of the loops so that William Wallace and Andrew de Moray could lead their troops into that gap and cut off the remaining side. The English were trapped by a narrow bridge and water on 3 sides out of 4, and then they couldn't escape. And it ended up being one of the largest defeats that the English suffered at the hands of the Scots during the Wars of Independence. And this happened in 1297. And there you see it, the loop just beneath Stirling Castle where the bridge would have been, and the English would have been trapped in this kind of piece of land here in between the river that snakes around. And the Scots would have come in from the right. The original wooden bridge, wide enough for only 2 riders side by side, has long been replaced by this stone bridge, the Old Stirling Bridge, which is nearly on the same site across the river. But back to William Wallace. Was he really the only hero worth celebrating? I don't think so, neither do these people who every year raise a flag to commemorate the bravery of the Highland man who travelled to Stirling to fight and command alongside William Wallace. So what about Andrew de Moray, the gentleman who co-commanded that battle with Wallace and has got no credit? Your writing challenge is to write a letter to the Scottish Government or to the National Museum of Scotland and demand that de Moray should get a monument just like Wallace did. make a good case for why he was an important figure in history, and use all the rhetorical devices that you can come up with. Lists of frieze, statistics, historical facts, alliteration, repetition, addressing your reader directly. Make your letter as persuasive as you can. And then, if you have a chance, you could even stage a speech to persuade people to give de Moray an equal standing with William Wallace. Good luck and bye for now.